Okay, so you were saying about Hugh and the Move?
Yeah, when Mr. Taylor came on, he came on just when what was then the new archival facility for what we used to call PANS, the Public Archives of Nova Scotia, was coming on, and his first job was to superintend the move, and he knew how to delegate authority, which is a skill that not everybody has. I always felt I was a very junior person. I was a box carrier and a book fetcher and so on, but I always felt that he had come from places where I guess the standing of archives was as government, as having a role in government, was already established, and so he just moved on as if the provincial archives would have these things, would do these things, and he just went on with it. And so the archives, if that was the time, the provincial archives in Nova Scotia had been established very much as a historian's bailiwick, probably a partnership between Angus L. MacDonald, who was the premier in the 40s and 50s, and D.C. Harvey, 30s and 40s, and then D.C. Harvey, who was the archivist. And it was a scholarly place, and it had close ties to the university, and it of course it was officially the repository for government records, but it really hadn't focused very much on that role, and it was under Mr. Taylor's time that happened, and that the archive started making its steps into the world of government. And it wasn't always a smooth transition, and I know I left in '84, and I know that they had hard times on and off, but they've come so far. And I think that he was because he just assumed that we would have a modern archives. And then I always remember, before Ferguson left, it had been assumed that Dr. Phyllis Blakely would have the role of provincial archivist. And there was a lot of unhappiness, I guess, amongst the staff and other people when they brought somebody else in. But you couldn't help but like him. You couldn't help but respect him. He obviously enjoyed what he did so much. Everything excited him, from if he happened to be talking to a genealogist to if he was dealing with government types. And he did a lot of challenging work in terms of, I think, beginning to let government know what we were there for. So then when he did leave, he basically appointed Dr. Blakely as the next provincial archivist. Well, all that hard work and logistics of the move were over. She was really good at PR, and she was very good at being friendly and receptive and stuff, so she could do what she did best. Whereas he had broken the path for her, got through the drifts and stuff, and she could motor along and facilitate things, in that way. And he was such a pleasant man. He was so, like I say, we used to go Christmas caroling to his house, and he loved it. So I remember he and Daphne and the girls and we'd have hot chocolate, and he always, for all that he was, always thinking about the archival world, he was a man, I think, who enjoyed socializing in those kinds of ways. He enjoyed his life. We always felt that he was a happy man, and that makes a difference in someone you work with. He's somebody, and someone who was very human. He had a family, he had a life, and that made a difference, because we weren't used to that there then. So I don't know what the people who worked with me at that time would say, he was certainly, he certainly influenced. He was very good fit, I think, with some of the ways that the provincial archives at that time had thought in terms of total archives and all that stuff. But in other ways, he drove them on. He was responsible for setting up the sound and moving images, still like that end of the provincial archives, and he was he moved them for he moved us because I was there then. He moved us forward, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.